Oh Yahuwah, you deserve all the praise, all the honor, all the esteem. Oh Yahuwah, grant your servant, Glory Daoud, and all the Mores in the four corners of the earth that are teaching this word today. Grant them clarity, grant them strength, grant them a witness of your presence and insight into the divine things and the principles that govern this universe, that govern our bodies, that govern our mind. Oh Yahuwah, make us one. Make us one in this word. Make us one in our attitudes towards your word. Make us one. Give us the love that we need to show the world that we are your people, that we are your people who are called by your name. Oh Yahuwah, bless the unborn today. Bless those Akotes who are carrying children. Bless the Akotes who have already birthed the babies. Bless their husbands and strengthen their husbands and give them honor, give them pride, and give them love that they didn't know they would have from having newborn babies. Oh Yahuwah, we come before you today to dine at your table of your word. Fill our hearts with word that we may go out with the activity of our limbs, that we may be a light unto this world, unto the esteem of your set apart name. Oh Yahuwah, hear the prayer of your servants. Hear the prayer of your servants and all of your servants, the four corners of the earth today. In Yahushua's name, we ask all these things. Let it be so, let it be so, let it be so. Amen.
Hallelujah. Okay, now we have the ordinances read. That was good. Swallow coat.
So our first ordinance comes from smoke, commonly called Exodus chapter 19, verses 1 through 8. Chapter 19, verses 1 through 8. Say hallelujah. In the third month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Mizraim, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mountain. And Moshe went up unto Yahuwah, and Elohim called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Mitzrayim, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Verse 6, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a set apart nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahuwah commanded them. And all the people answered together and said, All that Yah hath spoken, we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Our next ordinance comes from Waibra, commonly called Leviticus chapter 26, verses 40 to 46. Verse 40, and it reads, If they shall confess the iniquity of their fathers with their trespass which they trespassed against me, and that they also have walked contrary unto me, and that I have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Yahweh Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Shabbat, while she lieth desolate without them. And they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquity, because even they despise my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them. For I am Yahuwah their El. But I will for their sakes remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, the sight of the heathen, that I might be their El. I am Yahuwah. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which Yahuwah made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moshe. And our last ordinance comes from the Keswick, commonly called Ezekiel, chapter 36, verses 22 through 28. Starting at verse 22, and it reads, Therefore, say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my set apart name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahuwah, saith Yahuwah Elohim, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. Verse 26, a new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh. Verse 27, and I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your El.
Hallelujah. So now we have the Esther Deborah would say words. Pray about Adon Shashima.
I'll be reading from Shemot, commonly called Exodus, chapter 20, starting from verse 1. Again, I'll be reading from Shemot, commonly called Exodus, chapter 20, starting from verse 1. And it reads, Now Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yah, the Elohim, which has brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohim before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, that is in the earth beneath, that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I Yah, the Elohim, a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate, showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me, keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah, the Elohim, in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it set apart. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Shabbat day of Yah, the Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yah made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that in the midst, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yah blessed the Shabbat day, hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yah the Elohim giveth. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Hallelujah.
Okay. Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah Echad. Ve'ahav te'ek Yahuwah Elohecha beko lebadka ubeko nefeshka ubeko meodika. Hear and obey Israel. Yahuwah is our El, Yahuwah is one. And you should love Yahuwah your Elohim with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of thy might. Hallelujah. And now for our hallelujah portion, we should proceed about my hallelujah most. My hallelujah belongs to you. 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 And you deserve it. 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 Hallelujah. My hallelujah belongs to you. Hallelujah. My hallelujah belongs to you. My hallelujah. My hallelujah belongs to you. One more time, my hallelujah. My hallelujah belongs to you. And hallelujah.
God.
Does anybody have any hallelujahs? Anything you want to give praise to the Creator for? Anything that He has shown to you in order to reveal to us, or any way that you want to express yourself? Now is the time to do so. Hallelujah. Go ahead, sis. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
I give all the praise to the Most High for everything He has given me, for the people that He has placed into my life, to guide me in His direction, to learn His ways, obey His laws, statutes, and commandments. So I just give all the praise to Him.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else with a hallelujah? Shah.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah, first I want to give praise to the Most High, for safe travels, not only for me, but everyone else that was traveling this week, even this day. I also want to give praise to the Most High, for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of His word. And I also want to give Him praises for giving me the strength and the faith, because one thing that I desire is to be called a friend of the Most High. So I know the scripture says Abraham was called a friend of the Most High.
Okay.
So that's my goal. So once I, get to the point where I can be called a friend of the Most High, nothing else matters. Nothing going on in the government or anything, domestic issues in the family or anything, nothing matters when you call a friend of the Most High. So that's my goal, and all praise to God.
Hallelujah. Anyone else with hallelujah?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom. I praise the Most High because after Sukkot, I was raised up off my bed of affliction. I walked through that, Him with me. I've been patient. I've been trying to be a student, as Shema said, to be a friend of the Most High. I've been continually learning the word, as my sister said, to keep the commandments. I've been just humbled by my circumstances. I've been humbled because I willingly submit to His will for my life. I've been humbled because He allows us to know and to understand that, again, as Shema says, nothing outside of His word is that important. And we have the most important thing in our lives and for our lives inside the words and the testimonies of the Most High and our ancestors. And while we see the world collectively around us come apart, the Most High is still on the throne, and He is the most important thing that we'll need for our lives. I give praise and honor to the Most High for you all because I missed you all.
Thank
And I'm very grateful to be back among you. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Glad to see you back in the midst. I know you didn't go to it. Glad to see you.
Hallelujah.
Anyone else with hallelujah? Okay.
Shabbat shalom, Mr. Carter.
Shabbat shalom.
I just wanted to, say all these things to the Father, it's humbling, period. As everybody was saying, pretty much, submit, humility. I'm learning it in some of the toughest forms, but I'm learning. I just want to say praise y'all for giving us an opportunity to travel to the land and see it and put some work in, for the opportunity to even get it. So blessings. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone online with hallelujah? Anything you want to give praise to the Creator for? Okay. I want to give hallelujah. Hallelujah to the Most High One for life, for definitely allowing us to go up to the land and put in work, to able to have brotherhood, even with my shot in, and just enjoy each other, enjoy the land. It's moving in the right direction. Total Rabah for the Most High for another cycle of life. On Yom Rabi'i turned 31. So that's to the Creator for just allowing me to continue to be a servant, growing for the lessons, for the discipline, for all that He has in store for the Mishpachah, the family whom He has allowed me to have, and of course, my Isha, I would be where I am without her side. Yeah, just like it's a blessing to have. As Dom said, it's a joy to be in this particular time period, and to be on the side that we're on, but to be as joyous as to be on the other side. So I say to her about hallelujah. One more time for anybody online. Y'all good? No hallelujahs. What'd you say, Anastasia? You ain't come off mic? I thought you came off. All right. So, we'll praise him anyway. All right, now we'll do praise and worship first before we start worship. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I just want to praise you forever and ever and ever for all you've done for me. Blessings and glory and honor, they all belong to you. Total power for Shere Yahuwah. Kol Shere Yahuwah. Now I say, Abba, we praise your name. Abba, we give you everything. Follow your delivery to let you know that we love you. We love you, Abba. Abba, we praise your name. Abba, we give you everything. Abba, we give you everything. Follow your delivery. Follow your delivery to let you know that we love you. We love you with all of our heart, our soul, and our mind. We'll serve you with all of our heart, our soul, and our mind. We'll serve, I will praise, we praise your name. Abba, we give you everything. Abba, we give you everything. Follow your delivery. Follow your delivery. To let you know that we love you. That we love you. We love, Abba, we praise. Abba, we praise your name. Abba, we give you everything. Abba, we give you everything. Follow your delivery. Follow your devil to let you know that we love you. That we love you. We love you with all of our heart, our soul, our might, and our mind. We'll serve you with all of our heart, our soul. We'll serve you. Call us Yahuwah. Call us Yahuwah. Call us Yahuwah. Now I say, call us Yahuwah. Call us Yahuwah. Call us Yahuwah. Now I say, hallelujah. So let me use the phone with.
You are Alpha and Omega. We worship you, oh yeah. You are worthy to be praised. You are Alpha and Omega. We worship you, oh yeah. You are worthy to be praised. We give we worship you, oh yeah. You are worthy to be praised. We worship you, oh yeah. You are worthy to be praised.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I gotta get you a song. Keep us in your hand and under your wing. Keep us in your hand and under your wing. Keep us in your hand and under your wing. For there's no Savior, there is no Savior but Yahuwah Elohim. Keep us in your hand, oh yeah. Keep us in your hand and under your wing. Keep us in your hand and under your wing. Keep us in your hand. Keep us in your hand and under your wing.
And under your wing.
For there is no Savior. There is no Savior but Yahuwah Elohim. You see me, redeem me, you freed me out of the dark. You clean me, you lead me, you see me as you're set apart. I was lost, now I'm found. I was dead, now I live. When I fall and you come, my response is, oh yeah, keep us in your hand and under your wing. Keep us in your hand and under your wing. Keep us, oh yeah, keep us in your hand and under your wing. There is no Savior but Yahuwah Elohim. One more time, keep us in your hand and under your wing. Keep us in your hand and under your wing. Keep us in your hands, oh yeah. Keep us in your hand and under your wings.
And under your wing.
For there is no Savior. There is no Savior but Yahuwah Elohim. There is no Savior. There is no Savior but Yahuwah Elohim. One more time. There is no Savior. Come on. There is no Savior but Yahuwah Elohim. Hallelujah. 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 So this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion is the book of it's called Shabbat, which means what? Names. Okay. Shemot is the plural form of Shem, which means names. So this we're in the book of Shemot, commonly called Exodus. We started in chapter 1. We're in the book of Shemot. What's wrong with this? Mouse with. As long as y'all can hear this, I'll call to. Okay. This we store portion. So we're going to start chapter 1, verse 1, and it goes to chapter 6, verse 1. So this is interactive, of course. Baruch, Shabbat Shalom, Maki. So if you got any questions, any comments, anything like that, this is interactive, kind of like we talked about on this past week. Book of Shemot, commonly called Exodus chapter 1, verse 1. Now these are the names of Israel, which came into Mizraim. Every man in his household came with Yaakov. Reuben, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda. Yissachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Yaakov were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Mizraim already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren in all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceedingly great, and all the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Mizraim, which knew not Yosef. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falls out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. So the first generation that goes into Mizraim, they die, they pass on, and then you have a generation that, well, what would be the significance of the generation of Joseph dying compared to the generation after?
Considering it's more than, there's so many variables because it's, anyway, the generation that was before that walked into the land, they didn't have the benefit of coming out of the land with and being given the instructions. So they went in almost like the way I would see is living in the faith of their fathers.
Okay.
But they followed in the same, tradition, the same teachings. They were given the instructions through Moshe after they came out of the land. So they had then the structure that begins to be formed around the bones, if you will. There were certain things that were set up, the tent, and the meeting of the tent.
Okay, I mean, but between Joseph, his brethren, and their immediate families, and the generation where it says, verse 7, and the children of Israel were fruitful, exceedingly multiplied, that generation. So I don't even know if the fathers of Moshe and them came out. Well, at this point, this isn't even Moshe's Mr. Cow. This is after the first generation that goes into Egypt dies. Now you have the next generation. Go ahead, Ellie.
The jab I'm gonna take at it is the difference of the generation after all of okay. So when Joseph generation is around, of course, those are his brothers. So I'm gonna say the treatment that Joseph was given to his brothers and their families is gonna be completely different to the new one, because it says in the next verse, verse 8, the new king to whom they know by Joseph don't even, he gonna be like, man, okay, you was with Joseph, but I got nothing to do with me. You're under my rule now. So that favoritism and that treatment is done. This new king is on his time.
Exactly. So it's a
shift.
but I get what you're saying as far as the ones who came in, they didn't get the privilege or the benefits of leaving out. Okay. Like I said, I'm because you go into chapter 2 and then it talks about Moshe as well.
So further down the line.
Okay. So I'm thinking this is the generation right after. Like now we said, it's a stark difference in I'm gonna say favor based on what you can do for me, right?
Okay.
So Joseph
He gonna go above and beyond for them.
came because Joseph is the one who saved Egypt.
Right.
So y'all family, y'all good for me. Y'all families built up pretty much every land of captivity that y'all been in, right?
Right.
Including this current country that we're in, right? Y'all ancestors, slaves, so on and so forth. We know what we did. Now there's a new generation, and we know y'all have already built it. So now y'all just growing. Now y'all just here. The benefit that was then is no longer here now. So now it's like, okay,
Who gonna rise up and retrain?
yeah, well, not just that, but if you're a Pharaoh, right? And everything that you have right now is built up by the ancestors of the people that you see, but they're no longer impacting your particular area like they were. Because Joseph was second in command over all of Egypt.
Mhm.
The family was where?
In Canaan, they were still in Canaan.
When they came into Egypt, the family went where?
Oh, they're Goshen.
They were in Goshen. They were separate. So now you went from a family where one of the people is governing over everything to now y'all over here, y'all own a little bubble and y'all just keep growing. So you guys are no longer interacting with us like you once did. And all y'all are doing is growing in number and number and number. And now there's a Pharaoh who knew of, right? That word to know is yada, which means what? It means to know the how. Okay.
Mhm.
That word to know is not da'at, which means to have knowledge. It's yada, which means to be intimate, right? He said in Adam knew his wife. That means that they became intimate. So to have an intimate relationship. So this new king didn't have any interactions with Joseph. It's on the walls in Egypt, you know, so on and so forth. So he had knowledge of it, but it don't really affect me no more. That was then, like you said, this is now. So you black people, yeah, okay.
I was about to say, and then it's that thing where what he is ruling over is already built, so y'all really don't affect what I got going on. So I'm gonna treat you, I'm gonna treat you.
Right.
Because the only thing y'all can do now is try to take it over. It's already built. So if y'all keep growing like that, like you said, it's getting to a point where they looking like an army by themselves. So before one of them get a wise idea, let us go ahead and try to break them down a little bit. Same thing they're doing now.
Yeah.
After slavery, right? After you built up everything, then you go to Reconstruction. That's when you got the Rosewoods and the Black Wall Streets and all of that. They figured, them by themselves
They looking too strong.
is way too strong. They got their own economies, their own schools, their families are strong, blah, blah, blah. They're not interacting with us the way that they were in slavery. We didn't have to, we weren't able to oversee them the same way. So we need to break that down and we need them to kind of come back and intermingle with us.
And,
I got you, Chuck.
yeah, and funny you said that because, history buff, they had that Black Messiah project
Mhm.
where they considered Martin Luther King as a Black Messiah, Malcolm X as a Black Messiah, Marcus Garvey as a Black Messiah. So anytime one of these individuals gets thousands and thousands and thousands of people to rise up, they have to put an infiltrator in there to act as a friend to shut them down. And it's gonna happen again, we just don't know who.
Okay.
But the time will come when that one rises, it ain't gonna be no infiltration, because we're gonna have y'all willing that unity we're supposed to have.
Yeah, not only that, but those men did it without the creator.
Right.
If Yah is your head, how can you cut?
Exactly,
All they doing is chopping off limbs and they grow back like
that part,
for mutants. Go ahead, I keep it. I got you.
Oh, yeah, well, you were talking about how they, using the city, kind of reminded me of a concept that was, in, the Transformers movies,
Mhm.
because, the first few movies, they were using Transformers to fight their battles. And then there was a scientist and CEO, after they, studied the Transformers, they knew how to build them. He told them, we don't need you anymore. That's when they started killing them.
Okay. And then they started having a task force to go after the Transformers.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing every time. Go ahead, Dr. Wayne.
It's very interesting that you say that, Shashaman, because when I was sitting in the movie theater and I heard him say that line, it was just like, they're telling us we don't need you anymore because we can duplicate you in the laboratory. They can grow whatever they want to grow now. And what I kind of see is they were, back in Michigan, living off the spiritual energy and the physical energy that our people possess, which is the same thing they were doing when we were growing up. Because if they don't have us, I think like Elder Simba says, which makes sense to me, if we go to the bush and show these people that we don't need them, that's going to be the thing that they don't want. I was talking to a guy in Williamsburg last summer, And he was telling me that we don't have what Dawid was saying, we don't have a leader and so forth and so on. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's how y'all killed off this movement before, was because all of that energy and all that power was squeezed into one head. And like you said, they were not the leaders that followed the Torah. They were just men trying to do the best they could with what they knew.
Exactly. So it's energy really is the only currency.
True,
We are the currency.
true.
So if we direct our currency to the Creator, one, through Yah, He creates many different talking pieces. Right? So He's done one in the past, but He said, now I'm going to give you shepherds. So that's plural, right? I'm going to use shepherds after my own heart. The book of Obadiah say that saviors are going to come from the mountain. So that's plural, Mashiach. So it's messiahs, plural. So the Most High is going to have multiple people who are doing His will at that particular time. But to come here, you said something, and this is interesting, right? So there's only a certain amount of time that you can live off the fame of your ancestors. So if Zakwe, let's say that you were my Saba, right, or my grandfather, and say you were Abraham, right? You're Abraham. Everybody knows Abraham. So I'm your grandson. As I'm coming up, they're like, oh yeah, you're the grandson of Abraham, right? But as I get older and older, eventually I have to become my own man. And I can no longer be in his shadow. So that's the same thing that's happening here. You got Joseph and them, and then there's a point where somebody who's not intimate with that no longer cares about what was, they care about what is. Which, when we get to chapter 2, is going to be, well, I'll wait for that for chapter 2. And then there's something more in these first 10 verses, and then we're going to move on, right? Verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Where do you hear that same terminology prior to the book of, so in the book of Genesis, where do you hear that terminology?
In the book of Genesis,
They
when
increased abundantly, they were fruitful, multiplied exceedingly, and the land was filled.
After the flood.
Before.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 1. Go to Genesis chapter 1. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. It says, Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him, male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. Right? So Yosef, right? He said that this is kind of like the firstborn blessing, right? In Genesis 1, for all mankind. This is going to be something else that you see a little bit later. But now, everything that was given to all mankind is now being given to Israel. So it goes from all of mankind being, you don't have many nations in Genesis, right? You don't have any other languages. It's all one people. So pretty much all one nation. Now that everything is divided, the Most High is now zeroing in on a particular nation, which we know is Israel. So he's now given everything that was dominion and all of that, which was given to all men, he's giving it now to Israel. Let's go to verse 11.
Shmuel?
Oh, yeah. Shmuel. Back to Exodus chapter 1, verse 11. So now. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Paro treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Mitzrayim made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar, and in brick, and in all manner of service. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. Parallels, same thing they do to us today. They make you work 6, 7 days out of the week, so you have no time to focus on anything in the heavens. You have no time to focus on your family, no time to focus on spiritual growth, no time to focus on anything but working and bills. If I do that, the only thing that you're gonna do when you go home is either eat, sleep, or be intimate. Which probably all three, most of those, and then you go to bed. Which is how we still grow. But you have no ability, no time to focus on nation building, to focus on building your own company, to focus on none of that. The same thing they did then, the same thing they did now. Verse 15. And the king of Israel spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shipra, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared Elohim, and did not as the king of Mizraim commanded them, but saved the men children alive. And the king of Mizraim called the midwives and said unto them, why have you done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Mitzri women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives, or before the midwives come in unto them. Therefore Elohim dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared Elohim, that he made them houses. And Paro charged all of his people, saying, every son that is born, he shall cast it into the river, and every daughter he shall save alive. So, question. What's the difference between what Paro wanted, right? He said, kill the men, save the women. But in the book of Genesis, right, when in the situation with Dinah, chapter 34, Genesis 34, Kamor, or Shechem's father, said, let us have your, give us your daughters and we'll give you our daughters. So they weren't really worried about killing the men, right? What's the significance of killing the men versus not killing the men? And what is the significance of the woman? So it's a two-part question. Killing versus not killing the man, and what is the significance of the woman? You better not answer the woman part. No, go ahead.
I think it's fundamental. But gang, if you kill off the men, I mean, we're the seed bearers. So if you kill us off, there's no continuance of us at all.
Yeah,
And I'm no hook for the woman part. Give us your woman, they can bear the seed. But I believe that's more of a cultivation thing, when they could give us your woman, so we could put our seed your woman in. That's how you just re-engineer the whole thing right there.
Kind. Perfect. Both answers.
Okay, courage.
Anyway, okay. So, Anastasia, go ahead, sis.
I was gonna say in either instance, if you're not mindful, you can dilute the legacy of the, in this case, Israelites. Like by us putting our seeds in their women, right? We're diluting the strength of their armies because they're half us, in a sense.
So wouldn't Israel make, well, for the most part, what we do, wouldn't we make the other nations stronger by mixing our seed with theirs?
I guess it's a yes and a no.
How's it yes and no answer?
Like, yes, we can give them our strength in a sense, but if they don't have the Most High with them, then their strength doesn't really mean much.
Okay, that's a cheating answer, but that's just right.
That's the
in terms
truth.
of- Well, that is the truth. I'm talking about like physical, like genetics and go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, well, the men, the women and the men, they both have a role to play. With the men, the men of the Most High, they teach, they bring the word of the Most High. So if you kill them, cut teaching off, you cut those, the source that others may use to run about the Most High. And then the women, even if they're not married, you'll hear women in society, they help carry on the culture of the country that they live. Even in America, there's many women that aren't married, but they still kind of have their American culture. So they take the women, that kind of helps build up their country.
Okay, you kill the man, you cut off the nation. What's the Taoism? You kill the man, you cut off the lineage, you cut off the nation. The difference between Kamor and then we're gonna get back to Kamor wanted to become one nation with us. So in order for that to happen, I still need your men because y'all are the nation. So I still need to mix with y'all. Everything that the Most High is going to give y'all is also going to become ours because we're mixed.
You gotta think, nothing known to the sun, right? So look at today's society, right? What do you see what happens in the inner cities with sectioning homes, right? A man can't actually live in a house,
Okay.
right? And they did that in the abortion clinics and all that. That was designed for us because we're so big, we're so numerous in America. We are the majority. We're never the minority. We've always been the majority. So how you cut down Section 8 prisons, no woman in the household,
Homosexuality.
homeless, then because the woman is just only by herself and no man to come and interject. And it was woman turn men and men turn women. And that's what's going on today. It's just a systematic mentality now. There was more physical back then, but now it's mental. It's like the mental overweighing the physical. How was back in the day?
Okay. And Shah, you said everything correct except at the beginning. You said that the men are the ones who teach. Let's go to the book of Mishlei, common called Proverbs. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 1.
What you say again?
The book of Proverbs, chapter 1. And we'll start at verse 7. Say hello, y'all in the ride. Okay. Verse 7. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of your father, and forsake not the Torah of your mother. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto your hand, and chains about your neck. Now, verse 8, you would think that that word for instruction and the Torah of your mother are the same word, right? Instruction. Torah means instruction, right? Okay, cool. But that word is not Torah for the instruction of your father. That word is musar, which means correction, discipline, reproof. Now the word for the Torah of your mother is Torah, which means instruction or direction. So you save the woman, one, because our women are very fruitful. So now, as you say, you get to expand your numbers, but also they are sponges or they are still earth. So whatever seeds or information you put into them, that's what the fruit is going to have. Right? So whatever I teach, let's say you have one generation of women, and you teach them what will be righteous, the law, statutes, and commandments, right? One generation. That's all you got to do. Is teach one generation of women, because they're going to teach their children, and they're going to teach their children, and so on and so forth. So that's what the woman does. That's why the woman is so important, because without her, especially in a righteous state, your nation is going to go off. So the man teaches the woman, but outside of that, he is there to now correct and to reprove the child as they get older, based on the information that the woman has poured into them. So the woman is the foundation. So if you don't have that, and your women don't know Torah, or they are worldly, then that's all they're going to pour into your children, right? And as a father, now you have to correct or reteach. Hopefully, well, really just can't even reteach them because it's already in them. You try to reboot them to righteous ways, but everything that their mother has already put in them, That's what's in it. Same thing with our Father, right? The Most High is both, you see the image of Elohim in chapter 1 Genesis. They're both, he has both male and female qualities, correct? So when the commandments are being taught, right? And the wisdom is referred to as what? Okay. Wisdom is referred to as a woman. The spirit, the word ruach is feminine. Torah is feminine. All of these words are they are the instruction aspect of the Creator. Now, once you get the instruction, if you mess up, what happens? You get corrected. That's Abba. Now he's going to come and try to correct you. That's why he sends prophets, trying to warn you. I'm doing all this to warn you because now we get after so many warnings, what happens?
You get what you get.
You're gonna get a beating, more than likely. Yeah. Spread around, spoil the child. So you're gonna get a beating now because your mother taught you. I know because I taught her. So now your mother taught you, and now I have to correct because now you're going off the path. So Pharaoh wants all the women because now if I teach the women, now I can have strong Egyptian boys, strong Egyptian women. Because I took the qualities of the Hebrews who are strong and strong women, so on and so forth, but now they have my character. Which is the Father, we are the children of Yah, right? But not Elohim, children of Yah, or children of Elohim. So we're supposed to be taught by the Ruach and then corrected by the Father whenever we go astray. Yes, sir.
That's part of studying history is to find out how Christianity became such a formidable opponent that we face in our day and time, was they separated the elders out of the families, separated the men from the women, and took the children and put them in circumstances where they were brought up by Catholic priests, and they gave them that knowledge or that seed, if you will, so that as a child grows, it's only going to be produced what it's put into. So they used the word of Elohim against us to put in us the image that they wanted to create in us, so that when they saw us, the only image we would reflect is what they put in us, but it was corrupted.
Okay.
That's why Christianity is so, we got relatives, we got aunties, uncles that passed on, we got cousins by the dozens that just don't want to, as long as I got Jesus, that's good. And that's what we're dealing. We're dealing with a 400 or 500 year legacy of why they don't understand how all of this came about. Because there's, in most cases, many of our people won't do what we do. We sit down with a book and comb and through these books and correct each other and say, no, this was in the 4th century or the 6th century or what have you. And our people they'll go to college. They'll get a degree. When it comes to, and they'll learn jobs, they'll learn chemistry and so forth and so on. But when it comes time to learning what the brothers have said earlier today, what's really important? I got Jesus. I'm good.
And that's where you get godparents from, based on what you were talking about, right? The aspect of godparents and with the Catholics, how they would take the children as young and send them to Catholic households, and they would call them godparents.
Wow.
So your godparents were the ones who were supposed to teach you Catholic
So
Catholicism.
Yes,
no more godparents. That's dead.
Yeah, that's where your godparents come. Okay, but the whole point here is the women are vital to the existence of a nation. One, because they carry the seed, and 2, they are the ones that teach the next generation. So y'all have to know. So then the next generation. So, okay, let's go to chapter 2. Shemona, Exodus chapter 2. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to be his woman a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and dabbed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off, to wit what would become of him. And the daughter of Paro came down to wash herself at the river. And her maidens walked alongside by the riverside. Real quick, ark. Where are the only 2 places that you see ark? Any type of ark. Okay, that word ark, tahor, I think it is, not tahor. Well, the word for ark, whichever word it is, right? That's only used with Noah and Moshe. So what would be the significance in that?
What I think of is the meaning of Noah's name, which is always attached to the ark, which is, if I remember correctly, it means to give rest.
Okay. Anastasia? I thought she was going to vote.
Preservation. I think of preservation.
Okay, preservation. Yeah, and it's both, right? I ain't gonna hold it too long. Ark. So Noah to give rest, Moshe to draw out. So Noah's ark was built to save what?
His and the animals, to preserve the animals.
Thank you, because y'all being selfish. It was Noah's ark was built to save all of man
On that boat.
and also animals, so on and so forth, right? What is Moshe being saved to do?
All of Israel. To save
All of Israel. Okay. So you see the difference between the Most High dealing with the world in Genesis, and then in Shemot, it's just us, those with us.
So that's a big funnel.
Okay.
Big funnel.
Okay. In order for the funnel to grow bigger on the bottom.
Right.
Okay. Verse 5. And the daughter of Paro came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked alongside by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, "This is one of the Hebrew children." Then said his sister to Paro's daughter, "Shall I go and call to you a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for me?" And Paro's daughter said to her, "Go." And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Paro's daughter said unto her, "Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give you wages." And the woman took the child and nursed him. And the child grew, and she brought him to Paro's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moshe, and she said, "Because I drew him out of water." So what does water signify? Cleansing. What else? The letter Mem, letter Mem is what? Chaos and
Nation.
multitude and water. So Mem is water, multitude, and chaos. So even when it seems like you're on chaos, right? Or in chaos, the Most High is still guiding you. Only if you allow him to, right? That's the difference between having an ark, which is floats on water, and you having a canoe or something where you're trying to do your own path. So even on the chaos of life, the Most High guides you and puts you in a place where it'll eventually turn out for your good. Only through submission. Verse 10, real quick. It said, "And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moshe, and she said, because I drew him out of the water." Shabbat shalom, Yasmin. Why does it say that that's when he became her son? So he was being nursed on the boob. He grew. Go ahead, it's okay.
Is it because that's when she introduced the child to Pharaoh? And
to Paro's mother, daughter?
To know to him or to his household.
Well, what do you mean by that?
It doesn't go into details of how long she had the child before we read this verse, the child grew and she brought him into Paro's daughter, and he became her son. So there was a time passing. So up until that time, I don't know if she had ever said to anyone in that household, "This is my son."
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I can't go either way with that based on the source. We're not saying did Paro know that she adopted the baby? Because I don't even know if how close they were. But
Because we look the same.
yeah,
The Egyptians, the Israelites.
she wasn't pregnant. It's different than you come in, you got a little belly, and all of a sudden you got a
But
child.
you mentioned adoption. You mentioned
Yeah,
adoption.
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. The child could have come. She doesn't say that, but the circumstances would have a reason for the child being called her son. So it maybe the Mitzrayim had a system of adoption as well. So I don't see where.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm gonna touch on that. Go ahead, who's not got your
Two things I was gonna say, either the thought that the woman had, like she actually started to care Moses, or since the child grew and she brought him to Paro's daughter, he became her son. Yeah, so I was gonna say either it was a mental thing, or she actually started to care for Moshe as her son, or come back to you.
I'm gonna go. I got two. So, all right, in the very beginning, to rally on what Candace said, I believe there was a difference that she knew it, because if she saw a baby right off the back, that's a Hebrew baby. So right there off the bat, she knew that's not her kind of her type, but she's looking over the fact that's a Hebrew baby is different. I'm gonna still bring this baby in because her desire at that time, like she probably wanted a child, a boy, who knows? They never got really deep into it. And then as he grew, it says raise a child as to grow. You instilling all type of culture into this child as he gets to an age. So whatever she was teaching him, okay, you know this. Now I'm ready to become you my son now. You're not in no Hebrew thing now. You my son now. All the way Egyptian. Let's go introduce you to Pharaoh now, because Pharaoh, no, hold on, who's this? So he probably even staring like an Egyptian. He probably carrying himself, dressed like, got a shape, all of that as an Egyptian. If she never trained him up, they were like, why is a slave in my house?
Okay, so you got the concept down. You just messed up the timing and who taught him that. Well, give me a sec, Kyle. But that's you on fire today, though. Yeah, you bought Kyle, yeah.
I'm kind of the same thing as Big Dawid and Uz was saying. Not the Egyptian, the Hebrew, or his real mom, was basically his wet nurse, so she was just weaning him. And usually it takes up to about 3 years to wean a child, if you want to. So up until about 3 years. So when she claimed him as her son, or now knew him as her son, it was now given over to her to train him as an Egyptian. So during the weaning time, that wasn't her training time, or her time to actually engage with him until he was weaned off. Kind of like with Abraham and not Abraham. Same thing with Isaac. So the weaning process was what was needed.
Okay. So as Dawid was saying, right? That's why I say at the time wrong. When he was first born, up until he was weaned, that's when the Hebrew way was in him, which is why you're gonna read a little bit later that he said he saw his brethren. So he knew who he was. But then once the weaning is done, now the mother no longer comes around.
Mm.
So now when the mother no longer comes around, now I'm bringing you a baby and now you have to train. So in the sense of adoption, right, the mother or the father no longer around, now you're taking the baby into your house. Now you're the one training it up. So it becomes your child, right? Let's go to the book of Judges, chapter 17. The book of Judges, show 15.
17.
Yeah, kind of, show 15, 17. We're gonna go to one verse 11. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at verse 10. I'm gonna start at verse 7. I just start at verse 7 to get whole context. So show 15, commonly called Judges, chapter 17, starting at verse 7. And there was a young man out of Bethlehem, Yehuda, of the family of Yehuda, who was a Levi, and he had sojourned there. And the man departed out of the city from Bethlehem, Yehuda, to sojourn where he could find a place. And he came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, as he journeyed. And Micah said unto him, whence do you come? And he said unto him, I am a Levi of Bethlehem, Yehuda, and I go to sojourn where I may find a place. And Micah said unto him, dwell with me, and be unto me a father and a priest, and I will give you 10 shekels of silver by the year, and a suite of apparel and your victuals. So the lady went in, and the lady was content to dwell with the man, and the young man was unto him as one of his sons. He became, and Micah consecrated the lady, and the young man became his priest and was in the house of Micah. And then Micah said, now know I that Yahuwah will do me good, seeing that I have a Levi to be my priest. So you see that a Levi, or someone who's supposed to know the law, went into a man's house, a grown man's house, and he said, you'll be a father and a priest to me, and he became one of his sons. Why? Because you teach your sons. Right? So that's why elders, well, son.
Come here, son.
Yeah, hey, come here, son. Hey, come here real quick. And you probably met him for maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
But that relationship is supposed to be like that because we truly are more than likely your son's age. So you would look at us like, you just like my other son, come here, let me school you.
Right. Let me teach you something. Well,
Okay. Let me learn you something real quick. And that's how that would go. Same thing. That's why the Brit Kadashah says that the elder women are supposed to teach the younger women. That's well, the whole Yahushua don't call no man father. He's saying don't call no man father because they might teach you wrong. But we see here somebody who spoke called father. We see Elisha called Eliah father. Elisha. Yeah, so it's father, this means somebody who teaches you, right? So that's why he said you have one father who's in heaven. So father is supposed to teach you, which is spiritual, right? Okay, let's go back to Shemot, commonly called Exodus chapter 2. We start at verse 11. So once again, you see the importance of women in the aspect of who's teaching. Another thing, that's why they call them the sons of the prophets. Have y'all heard that term before? The sons of the prophets? That means that they were in a school taught by Elijah, Elisha, Shemuel. They were the quote-unquote fathers. You had the children of them who were teaching them how to be prophets. Okay. All right. Shemot chapter 2, verse 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moshe was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied a Mitzri smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Mitzri and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrew strove together. And he said to him that did wrong, Wherefore smite ye your fellow. And he said, who made you a prince and a judge over us? Intend you to kill me as you killed the mint tree? And Moshe feared and said, surely this thing is known. So what does this scene or this passage right here, what do you see in regards to Moshe?
He was his brother keeper.
Okay, he's a brother keeper. Definitely.
Even though he had gone through many years of indoctrination to act and perform like the ministry, he still knew who he was. He was true to himself.
The foundation strong. Okay. What's up?
I was gonna say, I see it as he got fed up. You know, you have some people that may be in a situation and they let things, I guess, pass for a certain period, and after a while they just snap, they go off again.
Okay. Do you see both of Moshe's tasks in this? What you see, sister?
I see that his biological mother taught him some things where he left, and he reverted back to that when Satan is right fighting with the Hebrew.
Okay. So the first day he saw what? And then what did he do?
So some kind of being dealt with.
He killed him, right? Or he cast judgment.
That was his judgment.
Judgment. That's his first task. 40 years later. His first task is to judge Egypt for beating on or oppressing the Hebrews. That's his first task. The second day he saw what?
His brethren.
He saw two brothers doing what? Striving. So then he did what? And he spoke to which one? Which of the Hebrews did he speak to?
The one hitting the other one, the one being aggressive.
Okay, told us this. So he spoke to the wrong one. So his first duty on the first duty is to judge Egypt, to be the hand of judgment against Egypt for oppressing the Hebrews. The second day is to judge and give correction between the Hebrews. Now I'm going to give you how to act. I'm going to give you instruction and correction. Once again, the following, correcting you on what you should be doing. Why are you smiting your fellow? Right, so you see both of his tasks right here. A glimpse of it, and then he leaves. Which means that in our lives, the Most High, he's always training you. He's always training you to do what it is you're going to do years from now. But he's trying to get something in you. So if he would have just let the Egyptian beat on the Hebrew, well, now I'm gonna have to wait a couple of years, and I'm gonna do the same thing again to see if you understand. Okay.
Would you say that translates into today? We have some people they're both in a bad situation. For some reason they're fighting each other instead of working together.
We do it every day. Whether you Hebrews, whether you don't know, well, you're all Hebrew. Whether you know you Hebrew, whether you don't, you're Muslim, we've always been combative against each other. Okay. But the aspect of the Most High always leading you in a path if you're paying attention. A lot of this portion is about paying attention. If you're paying attention to what it is that he's trying to show you and mold you to become later.
I want to say that from my experience and what I've been learning, so I go through my day and I'm beginning to realize, okay, the Most High is going to test you today. And you have to be wise to that fact. And I need to be, what you just said, attentive to my response to everything I am faced with every day, so that I can learn to rejoice in every affliction, as I think I'm just reading in Romans 5:3, when it says that, and even Paul said that I rejoice in my sufferings that I may know my Mashiach. So I think that for me, what I'm learning is that while we all go through these different levels of perfection, it's really perfection is all it is.
Right.
Maury just said it's so that you can learn, so that you can have put in you what you need for tomorrow. So, and that's what I've gained from even being away from the Knesset. I've learned to hear and to listen that, wait a minute, these things I'm going to be tested with is basically the Most High saying, now I'm gonna test you with this, but you better look at me. You better keep your eyes trained on me and know that I'm gonna be with you in it.
Hallelujah. Good. Okay. Verse 15. Now when Paro heard this saying, he sought to slay Moshe. But Moshe fled from the face of Paro and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. Now the priests of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled their troughs to water their father's flocks. And when the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moshe stood up and helped them and watered their flocks. What are you continuing to see about Moshe?
In his whole journey so far?
So
Well, so from the beginning, I must say that Most High always sends people to help you, correct you, when it look like in Moshe's situation, it's always a woman that's saving him.
no, he's not getting corrected.
Well, I mean, in the beginning, the ark,
right?
Okay. Now you got another jump over here, the water.
Okay. Okay.
And I think I missed one.
No, you did. It just ain't come up yet.
Okay, but that's 2 I see so far.
Yeah. I'm tracking with you. I'm tracking.
Like that. So it's like Most High, what you go through, it's always in that common storm. I mean, hey, it happens in our life today. You're saying that person is like, go this way.
Yeah. I'm
something like that.
Well, no, let me go to Anastasia first, and I'm gonna touch on that. Just because that was it.
He seems to continue to provide correction and leadership, like building his leadership skills and provide like governing situations and judging them.
Okay, and always jumping in, he always happens to jump into something that really ain't got nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
Really don't have nothing to do with it.
Like President Bush.
The Egyptian beating up on the Hebrew man really ain't got nothing to do with you.
But that was in him to be
a protector, right?
Protector of his people.
But I mean,
Put his neck on him.
Hey, because go ahead. Oh yeah, okay. Go ahead. Now I got you, Sean.
I just kind of see where, to me, this kind of foreshadowing where Moses stood between the Most High and the nation, and pleaded with the Most High to keep his name unspotted, not destroy the nation.
I'm gonna touch. Go ahead, Aki.
Now I have a question. What Moshe is doing, is there a scripture that will support or speak against what he's doing, as far as getting involved in multiple situations,
You said speak against it?
Or
speak for it?
Yeah.
So in the book of in the book of Ezekiel, right? Moses, well, Ezekiel or Isaiah. He said, Isaiah, okay. He said, I look for someone to be the intercessor. And I found no one. So then my own right arm brought me forth salvation. So he's always looking for somebody to stand in the gap. What did he do with Abraham? Come on, scholars.
He's on the walk before him to be perfect.
Well, yes, but what did he do with Abraham that is just like Moshe? It's a situation that shows the exact same thing.
You're referring to Lot, situation with Lot?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay.
He said, no, what's Lot though? He
Yeah,
said,
yeah, okay.
shall I not tell Abraham what I'm going to do?
Okay.
For surely he will teach his children, so on and so forth, right? And then he told him what he was going to do, and Abraham immediately did what? He did what?
Intercede.
Okay, he said, oh, Most High, I'm a fool, right, for talking. But let's say per se it's 50 people. Let's say it's 45. Let's say it's 30, 20, all the way down to 10, right? The Most High is always looking to see, is that part in you? Because I can't make you lead. I can't make you a father if all you think about is yourself. I can't make you a leader of anything if all you think about is yourself. Because if all you think about is yourself, then when I'm testing you to see if you're going to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves, you're always going to fail. You're always going to be looking for your way out instead of making sure everybody else get out. Because then that's when I'll save you. There is no righteous man or woman who is selfish. Those two do not go together. So you see Moshe time and time again being tested by the Creator. Will you stand up here? Will you stand up here? Are you going to stand up here? All right, boom, now I can make you the head over the entire nation. Because you're humble. Somebody who's humble is afflicting themselves for the benefit of others. Thank you.
You guys talk about something else. The scripture always says the greatest among you is servant.
Shall be a servant.
Yeah.
A king is nothing but the greatest servant. So it says that he stepped up for the, make sure my hands up. He stepped up for the daughters of Reuel. Reuel means what? Well, El means what? Okay, power. Okay, we got that. Ray or Ray-ah means friend. And U or the wow does what? The U or the wow, the wow does what? Okay, it's a tent peg. It always connects. So you got friend connected to El, friend of El. That's what the priest of Midian's name is. So you see the Most High continuously, as it seems like it's more chaos, you just had to flee everything you ever known. Now he not only gives you water, which I know we said represent chaos, but it also represents spirit, ruach, right? He gives you water, and now he puts you in a position where if you pass the test, now you can move on to the next level. If you pass the test, if you stand up for these 7 daughters who are trying to water the flock, which is just symbolic of shepherds supposed to be watering or giving the word of the spirit to the people, do you have wicked shepherds, right, running them off from giving the sheep what they need? So Moshe is supposed to be the one that stands up for the flock and makes sure that the wicked shepherds back up. He's a good shepherd. That's why when he passed the test, this is what Jethro said, or verse 18. Shemot 2:18. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that ye have come so soon today? And they said, a misery delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and water the flock. And he said unto his daughters, where is he? Why is it that you have left the man? Call him that he may eat bread. And Moshe was content to dwell with the man. And he gave Moshe Zipporah, his daughter, and she bore him a son. And he called his name Gershom. But he said, I have been a stranger here in a strange land. So just by you doing what you're supposed to do, right? Where was Moshe?
The Midian.
He's a Midian, right? The girls go on home, and he's still outside.
Chopping it up as a whole.
Possibly chopping up as a board. But he never follows them and be like, look, well, I helped you out, so.
Yeah, he didn't want that.
No, it's just I did what I knew was right, and then I'm gonna go about my business. to where he had to be tracked down and then brought. So what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing is never supposed to be for repayment.
Oh, yeah, praise the Lord.
No, it says those who give to the poor lend to Yah. So by you doing something physical, it says that you're lending to the Creator, which means what? The Most High will give it back, right? So Moshe's character is not one where he's seeking glory or esteem. So based on that, when you pass the test, now the Most High is going to place you in the house of what?
Friend of that.
A friend of El, whose occupation is what? What was Rachel L's occupation?
It's a priest, man.
Shepherd.
No, he had sheep, so he had shepherds around him. But Rachel L from Jethro was a high priest. So now I took you from learning your foundation to studying in the house. Now you are knowledgeable of sciences and all that what Egypt teaches. And now I'm going to put you in the house where you have all of that knowledge, but I'm going to teach you one, how to communicate with me, a priest. Midian is who?
Midian is who?
Who is Midian? Midian.
He is a grandson of
Cain.
Okay.
No, he's not a grandson of Abraham. He's a son of Abraham. Cain. Midian is a son of Abraham. So that means that Midian goes through the line. Cain. He's teaching. So a priest of Midian, even though they may not be all the way there, they know who's the heir. So I'm going to put you in the house of one whose occupation you're going to have to know, because you're going to have to teach who?
Those who come. Or the people that's dead now.
Who's his right hand man?
Adam.
Okay, you're going to have to teach Aaron. You're not the priest, he's the priest, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. The Most High always puts you in a place to show you what it looks like. What does it look like to be an elder? What does it look like to be an imam? What does it look like to be a Morah? What does it look like to be a shamar? What does it look like to be a guard of the people? I have to put you in those positions in order for you to see it, because we're a visual people. Then after you see it and you're trained, now I can let you go. Go ahead, Keith.
Earlier you said break well and throw.
Same person. Okay, chapter 2, verse 23. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Israel died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage. And they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of bondage. Elohim heard their groaning. Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Yitzchak, and with Yaakov. And Elohim looked upon the children of Israel. Elohim had respect unto them. If we don't understand that this is a collective, we have individual requirements, and then we have collective requirements in order for redemption to be done. This is an example of what it means, the collective side. That word za'at, which means to cry out, which is why we had to cry out. That, okay, Anastasia?
Sorry to interrupt. I just had a question. So prior to now, the Israelites weren't crying out. Prior to now, they weren't afflicted. What makes this cry out so great? I guess is my question.
That's a great question. Well, so it doesn't say that this is where it started, but one of the keys that we can see is that they cried out. That the word for cry out means za'at, which means cry out, but it also means to gather. So this cry out was maybe significant. I'm not going to say definitely, but maybe more significant because of them doing it as a group. They weren't really in bondage for that long. They were in Egypt for maybe 215 years. So being in Egypt 215 years, you still got about 70 that he was 30, 37, you got it, yeah. So you got like, I think 100 years that Joseph was still alive. And then you have another generation. So really, they were in bondage for maybe 70 years. So it wasn't really that long of a time period. So now, once that Pharaoh dies, right, it's all about timing. Once that Pharaoh dies, now Moshe is correct in a right position. Pharaoh's gone, and now you guys are crying out together. So it's more of a perfect storm, as they call it, right? But this is what we have to do here. I'm sure there are Knesset's crying out, praying together in Cali. There are Knesset's crying and praying out in Kenya, Mexico, wherever. But the problem is you're not a unified voice. It doesn't say their cries, plural, it says their cry, which means that everything began to be akkad or unified. Okay. And then it said, then he remembered his covenant with Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And then he looked upon the children of Israel and remembered them. Right? So the first thing that we have to do as a people is you have to resemble your forefathers. What does it mean to resemble your forefathers?
Keeping Torah, walking in the character of our ancestors.
Okay. To be obedient, right? To the written Torah now, because they didn't have a written Torah. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't have a written Torah. They just listened and took and yielded to the voice of Yah from within. That's the same thing that we should be doing. But you can't do that if you don't know how to do that. And you can't learn that until you submit.
One major thing, I'm gonna use O'Shea as a big example. One way he was really able to really focus on Yah, he had to flee from Israel. So he, in the mind, said after physically and mentally leave Egypt and link up, lock down with like-minded. And it's easier said than done. We can say, yeah, we want it. No, because so when a tribulation thing happens, you fall off the chain. You want to by yourself, rock like a baby. No, you gotta get beat up and still keep your hand up like wrestling, like they hold the rope and they get beat up like, come get me, like a tag team match. That's what we have to do. I use that example. I'm talking to myself. Sometimes I get head up, but please know I got a hand going like this. Like if you could touch my hand, I'm gonna get back in this match with y'all. You see what I'm saying? A lot of us gotta use that concept of stable. Because we say, oh, I'm with the Hakeem. No, is you really with the Hakeem? Because something will happen, we won't see.
Okay. It's about community.
Communication.
What? Yes, sir.
You said, what does it mean to be an elder? Other elders out there know what it means to have vision, We didn't ask for this when we were born, but it was acquired, given to us as he brought us into the right frame of mind. So we see, like in some of the Mores see it, the unification of the nation according to the word from all the four corners of the earth. So all of us, while we are doing our individual work and collective work, that's many single strands of energy or work becoming one. And we see it as the part that we're doing. Some of the elders we can see, okay, or I don't know why we see it or how we see it, but we can feel the vibration in the earth. And sometimes the Most High will allow us to hear it. And we don't discern it all, but we can hear the parts of the movement where we are transformed, as David was saying, we're coming out of Egypt and transferring our energy from Egypt into this temporary places where we're going to be to continue to practice the culture and how do we look like Abraham, how do we look like Yitzhak, and all of those things are happening every Shabbat, every Moed, every time we gather, every time we pray, every time, especially every time we worship. When we worship, it's really happening.
And it's gonna have to be more than Shabbat.
Right.
It's
Yes.
gonna have to be more than the Moedim. The reason why their voices and their cry out and Abigail was becoming more and more Akkad was because they were all in Goshen. So it's now like, I'm starting to hear your burden. You're starting to hear my burden. So I'm praying for you, you praying for me, and then we're praying together. We're going outside and we seeing each other every day. Now I'm able to pray with you even more. Okay, now we got everybody's, the men are beginning to wake up at 5 and step outside and pray. The cry out is becoming more and more Akkad. The difference between then and now is that we're all spread out. So we think that Shabbat is the only time that we got to come together. Now all we're doing is transferring the day of church.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to be a lifestyle.
Okay.
The Most High always told you to come together, which means that if you are in this walk, you start off by yourself. And then as the Most High tests you, then he brings you to a group. I ran into Shah at Walmart. And you were in it how long?
Not that long, maybe about 15 minutes.
No, I'm talking about the walk.
Oh, I came in about July, so what's that?
15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so I met Ooze and I ran past him at Chick-fil-A hollering at an elder with dreads. But outside of that, then I was messing on that. But anyway, so I met him. I didn't say anything to him. Then he meets Azar. Then he meets Zokan Yassakar. Then he comes out to COI. The Most High made sure that he got where he was supposed to be. Deborah and them meet you at GNC. So it's like the Most High always has a group of people who you need to be associated with.
Okay.
And when you reject that, all you're doing is delaying your redemption.
Okay.
Because redemption is not an individual benefit. It's a collective benefit. There's no redemption in the scriptures that happened only to one individual. So you have to begin to, the concept is individual, then you have a collective where you're meeting, and as that bond grows stronger, now the urge for community or communal living comes. It has to.
Yes. Okay.
So once you begin to look like or resemble your forefathers, then the Most High is able to look upon you and then know you. That same word where it says he had respect, or it really is Yada. So he knew them. Then he became intimate. Why? Because now you're looking like the people that I'm in covenant. Those who are family oriented. Those who are committed and submitted to his will and not your own. Those who care about other people rather than yourself. The internal aspects of Israel, not the external.
Okay.
Excellent.
Anybody can wear garment. They look good. I mean, who wouldn't? Anyway, it's not fun. All right, chapter 3, Shemot, or Exodus, chapter 3. Now Moshe kept the flock of Yithro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came to the mountain of Elohim, even to Korah. And the Malach of Yah appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moshe said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, while the bush is not burned. And when Yahuwah saw that he had turned aside to see, Elohim called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, Here am I. He said, Draw not nigh hither, Put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place whereon you stand is set apart ground. Moreover, he said, I am the Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, and the Elohim of Yaakov. And Moshe hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon Elohim. So what was Moshe doing?
In that moment right there,
Not at the beginning.
He was sure.
He was shepherding.
doing his job.
Ken, just doing your job. Doing your job, right? They say that this particular path, it was a little different than where he normally goes. Most shepherds, they travel the same path. Okay, routine for the sheep and also for yourself, right? But they say that this particular day, that the sheep kind of ran off. So now he's trying to drive them back to where they're supposed to be. And that's when he saw the bush, right? So on your normal everyday life, but now you may be riding the bus and somebody says something to you that sparks your ear. He's trying to tell you something. Whether you're on the shipyard or wherever you are in your normal everyday life, something peculiar might happen that day. Something strange might happen that day. You're like, I don't never drive this way. I don't know how my GPS took me this way. He's trying to get you to see something. And once you see it, then that's when the opportunity is revealed. It said that once the Most High saw him look, then that's when he called him. But if you're not looking for the opportunity, it'll never really acknowledge you.
Okay.
So the Most High calls him, he hides his face. Verse 7. And Yahuwah said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people, which are in Israel, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows. And I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Mitzrayim, and to bring them up out of the land to a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, the Kittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Kiwites, and the Yebusim. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Mitzrayim oppressed them. Come down therefore, and I will send you unto Pharaoh, that you may bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Mitzrayim. And Moshe said unto Elohim, who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim? And he said, certainly I will be with you. This shall be a token unto you, that I have sent you. When you have brought forth the people out of Mitzrayim, you shall serve Elohim upon this mountain. It's not about you, but it is about you. How does that make sense? Based on verse 11 and 12. It's not about you, but it is about you. And stated, and I got you.
I think it speaks about you as the individual having purpose, but your purpose is to be gathered in the community to, like, your individual light is to be gathered with different, everybody else light to shine brighter. Like, you have a job, but your job is incorporated into somebody else's job.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Shah.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, it is about you. Well, it's not about you because most high tells you to do something. You can't say, well, I'm afraid to speak in public, or I'm not a good reader, or I don't think I can keep all the commandments. Most high tell you this is what you have to do as far as how you feel. Because how he's dealing with you, he can use you to help out from a large group of people for a bigger purpose. So it's not about you, but it is about you.
Think about Jeremiah and all the times he wept for the nation. And I understand how his humility and his care for the people caused him to have those emotions.
Go ahead.
Most High he's so unique in many ways, right? Like when I think about Most High, he's like a movie director. The reason why I say that, he knows Moshe, what he's been through, what he's been in Egypt, what he's learned, what he looked like to the people at what time as under Pharaoh, right? And the Most High's like, nah, I think you're the best man for the job. I don't care how you speak. you are the image. I need to go back there because I know you care for you, because why ain't make a wrong with you? See what I'm saying? Why ain't say a wrong? No, bring her on with you, but you gonna be the lead person. So it's like, it's a familiar fate. Like, can you imagine you leave for so long, 4 days, and come back, like, oh snap, ain't that dog? He used to be right here with us. Yo, he had this and he coming to free. So there's a more excitement. He's the right man for the job. And to answer the question, yeah, it's not about you, it's about Yahweh. You're the perfect vessel. So you have to go, even though it's not about you, but you're the perfect vessel in this situation, in this movement.
All right, okay, so then why would it be, why are you the perfect vessel? And I want you to key in on that word vessel.
Cause when they are usually, you're like an instrument, you make a certain sound, right? The perfect tool, like the perfect fit. When I think of vessel, you're the perfect, to keep this thing moving, we need you. You're the perfect fit. So as a vessel,
What is a vessel? What is the what is the reason why you create a vessel?
to hold something.
Okay, to hold something. So you are the perfect vessel. It's about you because of something that I placed in the vessel,
Right.
which you have exercised, and now you are ready to use it.
Okay.
But it's not about you because I'm the one who activates you.
Right. Okay.
So you have humility, Moshe. You have the ability, you have the want and desire to fight for those who can't fight for themselves.
Right.
Right.
Past, yeah.
But when he asked, who am I to do this? The Most High doesn't even answer that question. He said, I'm coming with you.
Right.
So you have what you have, and everything else that you need, I have.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else that I need to put in that vessel, I'm going to put in that vessel. But you have to have the intrinsic skills and values.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the faith. You have to have the discipline. You have to have the love for people, the peace, the humility. You have to have those things. And wherever I send you, all of the righteous men had the same things in their vessel, but they all did different tasks. All of them had faith in their Creator. All of them had the want and desire for all their people to be on the same level as them. All of them had the humility. All of them have the exact same thing. Now, whatever your task is, I'm the one who anoints and appoints you for that. So it's not about you, but it's about you.
It was crazy. This morning, when I was asleep, I had a dream about my brother. Right? Something happened to my brother drastically. Fast forward, I ended up like inserting myself, right? And in the dream, kind of like to smooth everything over. And I just woke up like crying, like I'm crying in my sleep, right? Crying. And then to hear you talk about, how Moshe, how he slew his brother, it's just correlation.
Hallelujah. The Most High is looking for people who have these things in them. That's why he's not coming back for anything less than Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Anything less than those three men, y'all gonna be right here. Verse 13. And Moshe said unto Elohim, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the Elohim of your fathers has sent me unto you. And they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? And Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am. And he said, thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, I am has sent me unto you. And Elohim said moreover unto Moshe, thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, Yahuwah Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, the Elohim of Yaakov, has sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my mention unto all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together, and say unto them, Yahuwah Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, of Yitzchak, and of Yaakov appeared unto me, saying, why does he keep saying their name?
That's the matter. They're copying.
Hey, he's
Blueprint
and
that.
he's telling you every time. You need to be like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
What you
And
just
for the
said.
women, you have to be like Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Raquel.
Mm.
Anything less than your forefathers and foremothers, you aren't going anywhere. Middle of verse 16. The Elohim of Abraham, of Yitzchak, and of Yaakov appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you, and seen that which is done to you in Israel. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Israel unto the land of the Canaanites and of the Hittites, of the Amorites and of the Perizzites, of the Kenites, slightly, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken unto your voice. And you shall come, you and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Israel. And you shall say unto him, Yahuwah Elohim of the Hebrews has met with us. And now let us go. We beseech you 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Yahuwah our Elohim. So is the name Ahiah, or Ikyeh, Asher, Ikyeh, or is it Yahuwah? But he said, when you ask, who am I? What you said, Ikyeh, here, Ahiah, Asher, Ahiah, Ikyeh, Asher, Ikyeh. Right? Ikyeh, or Ahiah, as he said, is used 76 times. But only Exodus 3:14 is it used as the title of the Creator. You only got one spot. Yod Hey Wah Hey, Yahuwah is used 6,518 times. Every single time it's a reference to what they would call the Lord. There is no conversation. Name is Yod Hey Wah Hey. But he said, Yod Hey Wah Hey, Ikyeh, Asher, Ikyeh is an epithet or a title saying that I will be whatever I need to be. I will be whatever I need to be. Ikyeh means to be, to become. Right? I will be whatever I need to be. So if you need me as a protector, I will protect you. You need me as a cloud by day, cloud by day. Fire by night, I am whatever you need me to be. But my memorial, my character is Yod Hey Wah Hey. He who is, who was, and who shall be. Or Yahuwah, which means he that causes, or it that causes to exist. That's what the actual term means. He that causes to exist. That's who's going to take you out of here. Hallelujah. Chapter 3, verse 19. And I am sure that the king of Israel will not let you go. No, not by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand and will smite Israel with all my wonders, which I will do in the midst thereof. And after that, he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Mitzrayim. And it shall come to pass that when ye go, you shall not go empty, but every woman shall borrow of her neighbor, and of her that sojourns in her house, jewels of silver and jewels of gold, and raiment. Ye shall put them on your sons and upon your daughters, and ye shall spoil the Mitzrayim. Most I said in Genesis 15, verse 13, that who will what?
Come out with great substance.
Okay.
Yeah.
You will come out with great substance. We know the 400 years was not in Egypt. We were only there for 215. So the same thing that happened in Egypt is going to happen again. We will not leave this place or anywhere else on the four corners empty-handed, saith the Most High. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Shemot or Exodus chapter 4. And Moshe answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, Yahuwah has not appeared unto you. And Yahuwah said unto him, what is that in your hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, cast it onto the ground. And he cast it onto the ground. And it became a serpent. And Moshe fled from before it. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, put forth your hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it. And it became a rod in his hand. That they may believe that Yahuwah Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, and the Elohim of Yaakov has appeared unto you. And Yahuwah said furthermore unto him, put now your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put your hand into your bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe you, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto your voice, that you shall take up the water of the river and pour it upon the dry land. And the water which you take out of the river shall become blood unto the dry land. What do all three have in common? What do all three of those have in common?
The obvious answer for me is Moses and the people, Moses and the Most High, acts of the Most High, that promises that I'm going to be with you. If you go do what I tell you to do, I'm going to do this.
Okay. Okay. What else do these three signs have in common?
The three again.
Signs.
Oh,
I won't say plagues.
So the sign containing the staff. You talk about the sign pertaining with the staff.
Staff, the leprous skin, and the blood into water. Now, granted,
What was the comparison of those three?
one was a plague in Egypt, one was a plague in the wilderness, and the leprous plague throughout the scriptures. So came plagues.
I think I know. I'll say he can leper that, and no, he can cause anybody to become sick. And sign with staff, I would say. Serpent represents wisdom, right?
Serpent, yeah.
So I would say, he can also give those wisdom.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my
What do you treat leprous people like?
outcast.
Outcasts, strangers, or as if they're dead, right? Okay. Leviticus says, what about blood?
It's like the life of the flesh is in the blood.
The life is in the blood. Okay, so leprous people you treat like that. Life is in the blood. And what's the difference between a stake and a staff? One moves because it's a life. So the Most High is these three signs. What is the only thing that can produce life? Can. So you'll know it's Yah, the creator, the one who causes to exist. Because I'm causing life to exist from dead things. I'm taking your hand, which is alive, putting it in your bosom, it's turning leprous, which is dead. I put it back into your bosom and now it comes back alive. I'm turning a piece of wood. Some say trees live, what they do? But anyway, I'm turning it into something that is able to move. I'm turning water, which gives life, into blood in which the life is in. Only I can do those things.
It goes back to his name, I will cause to be.
Okay. One who causes to exist. Verse 10, chapter 4, verse 10. And Moshe said unto God, O my Adonai, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since you have spoken unto your servant, but I am slow of speech, and of a slow tongue. And Yahuwah said unto him, who has made man's mouth? Or who makes the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I, Yahweh? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what to say. And he said, oh, my Adonai, send, I pray you, by the hand of him whom you will send. And the anger of Yah was kindled against Moshe. And he said, is not Aaron the Levi, your brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he comes forth to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. And you shall speak unto him, and put words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. And he shall be a spokesman unto the people, and he shall be to you instead of a mouth, and you shall be to him instead of Elohim. You shall take this rod in your hand, wherewith you shall do signs. The only hindrance to fulfilling what you're supposed to fulfill is what?
You.
Okay. Whatever you think you lack, the Most High is going to provide, whether in the people around you or building up that particular skill within you. But only your mind can say, okay, I'm submitting to whatever you got going on. The Most High gave you free will in order for you to be the one to do that. He can make you do it, but he would rather you do it by yourself.
You know, it takes me back.
Right.
I'm going back in the day now. I don't think your hair was as long as this time. But remember that time when we had to go up to that top of the hill?
Uh-huh.
I was at the Black Lives Matter thing, and I was saying to myself, I don't know what to talk to these people about, man. Like, what I'm gonna talk to these people and tell them, because they're gonna ask you crazy questions. And believe it or not, every single crazy question they had, I was ready to get them a calm, a humble answer to answer. It was a lot. It was a lot, but all of us was all in our own little corner. Right? And I was like, look at y'all, like, it was just comfortable. It felt like what I was saying, I've been saying, but I never got asked these questions. But people had all type of questions. And each and every one of us was doing at that moment in time what we were supposed to do. That came away.
The Most High give it to you. All you gotta do is be a willing vessel. Don't be so full of yourself that he can't pour into you. Verse 18. And Moshe went and returned to Yithro, his father-in-law, and said unto him, let me go, I pray you, and return unto my brethren, which are in Israel, and see whether they be yet alive. And Yithro said to Moshe, go in peace. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe and Midian, go, return into Mizraim, for all the men are dead which sought your life. And Moshe took his woman and his sons, and set them upon a donkey. And he returned to the land of Mizraim, and Moshe took the rod of Elohim in his hand. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, when you go to return into Mizraim, see that you do all those wonders before Paro, which I have put in your hand. But I will harden his heart that he shall not let the people go. And you shall say unto Paro, thus says Yahuwah, Yisrael is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto you, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if you refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay your son, even your firstborn. In the case, yes, sir.
So, question, according to the text we just read, have we gotten to the point where that message is being heard by the collective leadership of the world today? And is it being expressed in the way that we are the children of Israel, or are they just too blind to see it or hear it, or they don't care? Does my question make sense?
Okay, so has the world been put on notice to let the children of Yah go?
Okay.
No, because we have to ask Yah to go send somebody to let them know that it's time to let us go.
Okay.
We haven't done our part. He's not moving until you do. Let's go. until you do Leviticus 26, which is 26 and 40, which is the ordinance,
Okay.
and Deuteronomy chapter 30. So we can go to Wayikra 26, verse 40. If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespass which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Yaakov, and also my covenant with Yitzchak, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. Drop down to verse 44. Wait, hold on. Nope, keep going, verse 43. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Shabbat while she lies desolate without them. And they shall accept the punishment of their iniquity, because they despise my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes. And yet for all of that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them. I am Yah the Elohim. But I will for their sakes remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, and the sight of the nations, that I might be their Elohim. I am Yahuwah. So our hearts been humble? Yes, have we accepted our punishment? Or are we still talking about how everybody else will be punished?
That's an individual, for me, that's an individual question. Because we as a group, though. You mean as a group?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to be as a group.
No.
It said it's like if their uncircumcised hearts be humble.
No.
Okay. No.
No.
So until you do this, now let's go to Deuteronomy 30. I'm going away. You can yell on the corner all you want. You can yell at people on the internet. You can do whatever you want to. Deuteronomy chapter 30. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you. You shall call them to mind among all the nations where Yah your Elohim has driven you, and shall return unto Yah your Elohim, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day. You and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul. That then Yah your Elohim will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations where Yah your Elohim has scattered you. If any of your, matter of fact, you ain't got to read that part. That's what y'all gonna do once you do your part. He said that once these things come to your mind, you're going to remember them. Then you're going to return to God, you and your children, with all of your heart and with all of your soul. What does with all your heart and with all your soul look like?
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice of what?
Maybe your job, maybe family, maybe some friends, maybe certain hobbies, certain TV shows, certain things you like to do.
Whatever it is that is keeping you from fully pursuing God. That's what you said with all your heart and with all your soul. You ever, had to catch the bus when you was younger and you ran with all your heart trying to catch that bus?
That's your whole thing.
Were you jogging?
You go straight.
No, I'm sure you see people chase after that bus and they running with all their heart and all their soul.
Maybe on the side of the bus.
Yeah, maybe on the side of If you're not doing that and pursuing the Creator like we pursue the buses, you're not doing it with all your heart and soul. When you catch Yah, because here he's not even running, he's there. When you get to Yah as fast as you can, you should be out of breath. You shouldn't be able to do anything else because everything you have has been placed into following, into coming back to the Creator. There is no job that should have you away from your Creator. There is no woman that should have you away, or man that have you away from your Creator. There's no family that should impede your progress in your Creator. There's nothing that should have you away from. So when you are fully detached, That's when your heart has been humbled. When you accept your iniquity and really acknowledge where you are, which is the bottom, then the Creator will allow you to come up as you are seeking Him with all your heart and soul. Then you're teaching your children to do the same. Then He said He will return. That means that He's going to return back into your life. He's going to return. His presence is going to return. His power is going to return. That's why we have no power. You have no power because your Creator has not returned back to you, because you have not fully returned back to Him. He said, is His arm too short to save? Okay.
You have a question. Some people, that are in the truth or not in the truth, and they say, well, how come, we don't see people now turning your word to wine, killing people, doing, so-called miracles, using power of the Most High? Will this be the reason? I say, yeah.
Okay. Why would He need you to do a miracle?
Yeah.
You still as rebellious as they were when the miracles were happening. Why do I need to put my power in you? For what? You're gonna mess it up. You're gonna be turning people into frogs. You're gonna be trying to make sure your bank account fat. You're gonna be doing everything else in the world but what I need you to do if you got some power. You see all them superhero movies with a little nerd, all of a sudden they get caught with Spider-Man, and Wonder Woman with a little nerd with his power. Do they do anything righteous?
No, cut up.
They going after people who mess with them, who picked up. That's the same thing you would do because your heart's not pure. So until this occurs, you're going to be here yelling at white people, wearing garments, drinking yayin, partying. You're going to be doing everything you want to, but you're going to be right in captivity. And the Most High is beginning to turn up the heat. So either you're going to jump into the fire willingly, or you're going to go where the place of safety is, which you only get to safety through the Creator.
Okay.
So He allows you to be ignorant for a time period. He allows you to be foolish for a time period. Now your foolishness and your ignorance is going to destroy you and your family. Look, we can go back to Shabbat. We call Exodus chapter 5. So I believe we're on we'll make it to the good part. Verse 24.
On 4?
Okay, Shemot, Exodus chapter 4, verse 24. And it came to pass by the way in the end that Yahuwah met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at the feet and said, surely a bloody man are you to be. So he let him go. Then she said, a bloody man you are because of the circumcision. I guess that goes back to the being saved by woman. If you don't have if you don't have the right one beside you, so she probably the wrong one would have been under the bed.
Sure.
Would have been back down like, look, I don't know. If you kill him, just let me go back to my house.
This is too much. This is too much.
But when you got the right one, whether it's Miriam, which is the sister, I'm talking about all women. Miriam, the sister, the mother who didn't just throw you away, but made the ark for you. Zipporah, which she did dip on you once you saved the water, but she came back and gave you some bread. But if you don't have the right women, plural, in your life, you men, we not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. Verse 27. And Yahuwah said to Aaron, go into the wilderness to meet Moshe. And he went and met him in the mount of Elohim and kissed him. And Moshe told Aaron all the words of Yah who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spoke all the words which Yah had spoken unto Moshe, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. And when they heard that Yah had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshiped. We'll go back to that. Start chapter 5. Shemot, Exodus chapter 5. And afterward, Moshe and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is Yahuwah, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not Yahuwah, neither will I let Israel go. And they said, the Elohim of the Hebrew has met with us. Let us go, we pray you, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto Yah our Elohim, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with sword. Why is that significant? Before he fall on us with pestilence or with sword. Well, I'm gonna ask y'all anyway, because y'all gotta get the third one. What are the 3 things that the Most High sends against Israel when we are not in his state?
Pestilence, sword, and famine.
Okay,
Say it again.
pestilence,
Pestilence.
sword, famine,
Sword is the death.
war,
War, okay, yeah.
not having peace. So when the nation is is not in alignment with the Creator, we get those 3 things. Now, as individuals, the same thing occurs in your life. When you are out of alignment with the Creator, you're either going to get pestilence, which is disease. Your body's not going to be working right. Your body's breaking down. That's pestilence. You're going to get the sword, which is you're not going to have peace with everything. For some reason, you can never find peace. You go in the store, somebody roll over your foot with the cart, and then they cuss you out for it. They take your parking spaces. Your boss is on your behind. You're just never going to have peace for some reason. You're in a relationship and the woman just won't be quiet, or she won't let you do what you're supposed to do, or the man don't act right. Your children out of control. You won't have any peace. That's the sword. What happened to David's house? The Most High said that was not going to depart from your house. The sword will not depart from your house. So he had sons raping daughters. He had sons trying to kill him. He had everything going on in his household. The sword did not leave his house. He had no peace. No peace. So when your life doesn't have peace and your body breaking down, your body aching, and your famine, now it was on crops, but now it's dealing with your money. The Most High said that you're gonna have knapsacks with holes in the bottom. You get all the money you want to, and all of this fall right to the bottom. You always lacking. Not just moments, we as a people, sometimes, inflation things get high. You may have a moment like, Brian, look, let me get $20, I'll give it to you back, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But when you're consistently, you just never have, you might want to check yourself. Yes, sir.
That's why I appreciate the last meeting we had at the Zoom call, because the brother said something that was really important, and it helped me to learn something. Well, I'm gonna get everything straight. I'm gonna dedicate something more than I've ever been, given as far as finances to the Most High, because I've seen an increase in my giving, because I've already been given more than, and I'm not trying to, I just want to bring it up and feel it bless somebody. So that, we can begin to look, not like bragging, but we can begin to look like our ancestors, because they gave. And they gave so much that Moshe told, hey, y'all stop, we got enough, we got enough. So I shouldn't think that what I have is mine, and that out of my surplus, it's just for me. To be trying to help build the kingdom, or help buy a doodad or a widget or something to add to the kingdom.
Okay. But because your heart's not right, and you brought it up. Because your heart's not right, and one may be, you think that it is all yours. Now the Most High is to make sure you don't even have enough for you. Okay. The little bit that you do have, what Yahushua said, he said, those who have give more, right? And those who don't have, even the little that they have will be taken. Those who have it in their heart to give them more. Those who don't have it in their heart, the little that they have is gone. Because that's based on you.
Okay,
It's a heart issue. All of this has to do with your heart.
okay, okay.
Because nothing's going to change for you unless your heart, which is your mind, and your heart changes. So we're going to go through the same perpetual. That's why he keeps going back. He says the same three names. Because when you go back and you read their stories, you're seeing how Abraham said, look, I don't want nothing from nobody, but I'm going to give my 10% to Melchizedek.
Okay.
I don't want nothing from nobody. Look, you can take these 7 human lambs and we're gonna make this covenant. Yaakov, look, Most High, if you just give me the bare minimum, all the increase, I'm giving 10%. Whatever you give me, when you look at your forefathers in the book of Isaiah, I think it's 55. Don't quote me on that. You probably could. Isaiah 55. He said, "Look to Abraham, the rock, and look to Sarah, the hole from which you were healed."
Yes, okay, okay.
So you got to look to the men, Abraham. For the women, you look to Sarah. How did they act? That's how you know he's the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Raquel. It's all in your heart. And when you don't have those things, you out of line just a little bit, you better be watching out for that sword, for that pestilence, and for that famine.
Okay.
Whenever things not going right, they might be like, all right, time out. Something's not right. Something's not right. Too much fight.
Okay.
For some reason, our finances is a little lacking right here, but I know I'm doing the numbers and it's not adding up because you're not doing what you're supposed to. Okay. Verse 4. Shemot 5:4. And the king of Israel said unto them, "Wherefore do you, Moshe and Aaron, let the people from their works? Get you unto your burdens." And Paro said, "Behold, the people of the land that are many, and ye make them rest from their burdens." That word there, rest, is Shabbat. So I was talking to an elder, this is my love. It's okay, Yehonathan, one with the dreads and stuff, they were teaching Hebrew. Yeah, so we was talking to him at the Hanukkah celebration. And he was like, Moshe taught them Shabbat in Egypt. He was like, no, it didn't. It's like, yeah, he did. And he was, so he went to here and he looked up the Hebrew and he was like, see, he's talking about Shabbat, which is kind of what we were talking about earlier. If all you're doing is working, you have no time for the Creator. So Moshe is trying to give them a Shabbat in order for them to begin the practice of having time for the Creator. And Pharaoh's like, no, I don't need you to have time. I am the Creator. That which you give all your time, that's your power. That's your Creator. That's your God. Whatever you give your time to, all your energy, you're supposed to give that to God. You give it to anything else, that's idolatry, that's idolatry. That's why your life is beginning to die. Because the judgment for idolatry and idolatry is what?
Yeah. And then it's like, on that same topic, like, it might not happen right over back, but we're only human. So what happens is our body starts to break down. Shoulders start hurting, knees start hurting, getting sick for no damn reason.
Now you can't work.
Now you can't work. Then it's just it's a snowball effect going the other way. Because you're giving all your power and might to your.
Now you can't work. So instead of crying out to your Creator, now you're calling your job. Now you're trying to work hard. Yep. Now you're trying to get long because now your whole focus is still on while you're working in the first place. The whole focus is still on your bills.
God can put something in your place that can get you from working hard forever.
Okay, but instead of focusing on Him, you focus on everything else. So now things are going to begin to break down. This is why Israel, we got numbers. Israel has numbers. But because our focus is not on the kingdom, it looks like we have nothing. Okay. Verse 6. And Paro commanded the same day the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, "You shall no more give the people straw to make bread, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves in the tail of the bricks which they did make heretofore. You shall lay upon them. You shall not diminish aught thereof, for they be idle. Therefore they cry, saying, let us go and sacrifice to our Elohim. Let their more work be laid upon the men, that they may labor therein, and let them not regard vain words. And the taskmasters of the people went out, and their officers, and they spoke to the people, saying, thus says Paro, I will not give you straw. Go ye, get your straw where you can find it. Yet not aught of your work shall be diminished. So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Israel to gather stubble instead of straw. Shabbat shalom, my king. And the taskmasters hasted them, saying, fulfill your works, your daily tasks, as when there was straw. And the officers of the children of Israel, which Pharaoh's taskmaster had set over them, were beaten and demanded, that wherefore have ye not fulfilled your task in making brick, both yesterday and today as heretofore? Then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried unto Pharaoh, saying, wherefore deal you thus with your servants? There is no straw given unto your servants. And they said, we're in the book of Shemot, chapter 5, verse 17, 16. There is no straw given unto your servants. And they say to us, make brick, and behold, your servants are beaten, but the fault is in your own people. But he said, ye are idle. Ye are idle. Therefore he said, let us go and do sacrifice to Yahweh. Go therefore now and work, for there shall be no straw given you. Yet shall ye deliver the tale of bricks. And the officers of the children of Israel did see that they were in evil case. And after it was said, ye shall not diminish aught from your bricks of your daily tasks. And they met Moshe and Aaron, who stood in the way as they came forth from Pharaoh. And they said unto them, Yahuwah look upon you and judge, because ye have made our Savior to be abhorred in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of his servants, to put a sword in their hands and slay us. And Moshe returned unto Yahuwah and said, Adonai, wherefore have you so evil entreated this people? Why is it that you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you delivered your people at all. So remember I told you we're going to go back to chapter 4, verse 29 to 31, right? Because 29 to 31, you see the people rejoicing. They're believing or having amunah, faith. So they're putting their faith in Moshe and Aaron, right, to do this thing. But now it's kind of like Shabbat. For our Christian brothers and sisters, church. You go to church, you go to Shabbat, y'all praise, y'all get word, you get motivated. But right after that motivation, now you got to go back into the real world. And that motivation is eaten quickly. To the point where what the Most High told you he would do, because it has not come quick enough, you lose the faith that is coming at all. Okay.
Can you, for those who might not understand or know, give examples of how that if not is eaten and taken away quickly after the Shabbat, or as you saying?
Okay, so you go to Shabbat, so on and so forth, and you read the prophecies that the Most High is going to he's going to increase, right? Or he's going to allow you to have peace, or he's going to take away burdens from you. But then you go back out into the world, and all of a sudden you still lack it, or that peace hasn't come readily available. Actually, the heat has been turned up. So you went from just barely making it to now you're struggling. But that's the same thing that happened here, because I told you what it would be. Now you have to believe in order for it to be. But because our focus is so right now, our focus is so what's happening right now, we don't have the faith to make it to tomorrow. So it gets eaten up. That little motivation, that little drive we had, and I'm going to go home and read these scriptures and so on and so forth. And every day, well, something else happened today. I'm sleeping today. I'll read it tomorrow. Or dang, okay, look, I know I said I was gonna wake up at 5 in the morning to pray, but I'm tired. I got a day off. That means I can sleep in. Everything that you were going to do is starting to get taken away from you. So now it's to the point where you don't want nobody to tell you what the Most High gonna say. Like, man, I don't want to hear that. I heard it before. The brothers who were in the walk were no longer in the walk. They be like, yeah, man, I tried it. I tried that God stuff. It ain't real. I'm still in the same position. Shoot, actually, I'm doing worse because they give me overtime on Saturday. The Most High always tests your faith before he begins to reveal what it is that he promised. Because once again, I got to check your heart. I got to check your heart. And if I give it to you, you're not going to leave. So they said, may the Most High look upon you and judge you because you have made our savor, right? You have made our smell or our ruach to be a stench to Paro. It's like you messed up my relationship with my God. I don't want to hear about y'all, that's cool, but man, I got these bills, bro, and then I deal with y'all, and my bills gonna keep calling me, and they gonna get mad at me because I can't pay them. Well, yeah, I understand we can't do that, but me and Sean have been rocking it. We've been knowing each other for a couple years now. Now you telling me I got to stop? She gonna get mad at me if I don't do what I'm supposed to do as a man. He's always gonna put you between two masters. He's always gonna put you between two masters because you have to choose which master you gonna serve. Chapter 6, verse 1, and that is the portion. Then Yahuwah said unto Moshe, now shall you see what I will do to Paro. For with a strong hand he shall let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of this land. The Most High he's kind of disrespectful in conversations because Moshe just asked him another question. The Most High still didn't answer. Moshe said, well, why have you treated these people so evil? Why have you sent me? But ever since I came and spoke in your name, they've been getting trashed and you haven't delivered them yet. Did he answer any of those questions?
Straight to the point. He ain't no maybe person.
He didn't answer the question. I sent you. I told you in the wilderness why I sent you. I'm not answering that again. You're going to see what happens. You just focus on what I told you to do. Okay.
I just remember early on in my walk, my job contract was terminated. So I had already been spending a lot of time in the bookstore studying and just reading and researching, trying to put in everything I could that I found. And the burden of, like you're saying, the bills still got to be paid. You know, I was single, you know, I'm single now. And gas still need car, all of the above. And so I'm sitting in the bookstore crying, when, you know, tears coming out my eyes, you know, and I'm like, Most High, why am I sitting in here studying? I need a job. He said to me, you just keep studying. Kind of similar like to what you just read, you know, what we just read. It's like, yeah, focus got to be further down the road than just right now, today, what I need. Because that is how our faith is developed. That is how our faith is proven. Can you wait and let the things inside of you be developed so that you will see that you're going to be mature by the end of that portion of the trial?
Are you going to take your power back into your own hands?
Okay.
The same power that you submitted, the same power that you said, I give myself, all pretty song, I give myself away. Are you going to take it back as soon as adversity? To where it goes from, Most High, I'm going to study, one Shabbat pass, Cox call, another Shabbat pass, Dominion call. You like, shoot, look, I got this job offer. He'll give me $14. I just gotta work Monday through Saturday. Most High understand, he the one gave you the opportunity. He didn't give you the opportunity to break his Shabbat. He didn't give you the opportunity to break his Shabbat. That's a test. Are you going to focus and follow him, or are you going to worry about your temporary circumstances? The Most High said, all right, you're promised 70 years, 80 if strong. So you're telling me that you can't hold out for 3 months in that period of life. You can't hold out and struggle for a little bit. You're only in the wilderness for 1 year. I'm about to give you the land of milk and honey. You're only in the wilderness for 1 year. You only got to sleep on the sand for 1 year, but I'm giving you a cloud to cover you from the heat, and I'm giving you fire to warm you up at night. I'm giving you manna. What more do you want? But all you got to do is hold out for 1 year. And you can't shut your flesh up for 1 year. Because your mind is so carnal that when the heat is turned up, all of a sudden you melt. Gold doesn't melt in heat. It's purified. It doesn't disintegrate to where it can't come back to what it's supposed to be and be greater than what it was when the heat was turned up. But Israel, we have to understand that the Most High, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But from reading this, and I read it earlier, I read it before, but now I'm just seeing those names that constantly throughout this whole book is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because when the heat was turned up with Abraham, after he just beat 5 kings, Abimelech takes his wife, he probably could have ran in there and got her. But his power, he submitted himself to the Creator. That Most High, you don't want to let them take her. So you're going to be able to bring her back. Most High, he changed my wages 10 times. He tricked me with the woman that I was supposed to marry. I'm in the wilderness. What you have to bring. I believe you're going to provide for me. Because you said that you would. If your faith is not that, Proverbs say, I'm about to wrap it up. Proverbs say that if you faint in the day of adversity, your faith was strong. Your faith was small. That means you ain't had no faith to begin with. You just like to praise and worship. You just like to praise and worship. You just like the camaraderie. But when it comes to you being at home, your relationship with me, Jeremiah says, and you will not have to teach, one man will not have to teach his neighbor to do what?
To say I know.
To know Yah. I won't have to tell you to know Yah or teach you to know Yah. Why? Because you will have your own Yada. You will have your own relationship with the Creator. So as Anastasia said, when we come together and that light comes together, when those gifts, when she's singing and the brothers are backing her up, but it's her voice that's leading. When you're praying, when the sister cook, when everything is together, is the Most High sees himself. He sees Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, Rachel. I don't know how much more we gotta. I don't have anything else to say. We have to become Shemot, the characters. We have to become the characters that we read about internally. And then whatever he has anointed and appointed you for, you will realize, you will see, and then you will be able to fulfill it. And
we read earlier that the Most High said to Moshe, and this will be a token. And so I went and looked that up in the Hebrew, and I just glanced at it. But what it means in the English is that this is going to be the nation that you bring out is the token. It's the evidence. It's the proof. So when we are, like you said, I don't have nothing else to say. I have individual tasks that the Most High has given me. Everybody sitting in here does. So soon we're gonna see, we have to see, we should see the token of him interfacing in our lives to manifest that thing, just like he did manifest the nation of Israel from the hand of Pharaoh.
This is, Shabbat is being lived again. It's just whether you're gonna be an Egyptian or you're gonna be a Hebrew. Yeah, after that, kind of, all you gotta do is just continue or revert back to what you were in order to be an Egyptian. The task of a Israelite, the Hebrew, is to cross over to the other side and to rule with the Creator. So, are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Any questions online, comments? Yeah, y'all never talk to me, but,
It's kind of awesome. I'm driving today, so I picked up this lady. She was in a wheelchair. Actually, she was my last trip. So she said, "Merry Christmas." I said, "I don't mean to be rude, but I don't celebrate." She said, "Well, what do you celebrate?" I said, "Well, I celebrate feast days." She was like, "Well, happy feast days." I chuckled and I was like, "Our people are so lost. They are lost. They don't even know." She thought it was one day. And she just happy feast days. Like,
because
it's, throughout our whole lives, we have seen the Bible. We may have even skimmed through it and just not know to be so misled. And some of us are still being misled. It's just truly sad. It hurts. Especially to see, she was an older lady. Happy feast days. It hurt.
I don't really want to engage you and ask you what are feast days. So just happy feast days. Go on.
She didn't. She didn't say, what is it? Just happy feast. She thought it was one day. Just one day to replace Christmas.
They don't want to.
And 9 times out of 10, she would die.
Right.
Thinking that it's okay to celebrate Christmas and all these other things because they don't want to know the knowledge. Because I was there, I always have my Bible on the bus. I always read. As you see, it's all big, dirty. They don't even ask. One guy got him out, I see you read the good book and run to the back.
It just sounds weird. Go ahead, Aki.
On that note, Most High will create opportunities, right? So, long story short, Wednesday, my brother in Jamaica died in a car accident, right? And I'm not into it. Jamaica cop system is very corrupt. They treated it like a dead deal on the road type of deal. But my father, when he heard it, he couldn't. My brother said, I was doing security. My brother talked to me at like 3 a.m. in the morning. And he told me, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. But to hear that my dad cried broke us down because we never seen our father cry. He never cried about nothing. Pushing forward, I said, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to my father. Like, Chris was like, I don't know. Just call him when the time is right, like when you feel. So I prayed about it all day. I waited all the way until like 9 p.m. Right? Called him. Me and my dad has never had a conversation like we had as men till that night. Basically, he was a son I was encouraging him, I was telling him I love him. I was giving him scriptures. Like I said, I didn't know, I was giving him scriptures about, the bloodline, about the gift of being the son of a great father, a great man. Don't think that because you lost one, you're gonna see the characteristics of Otis, is his name, dude. There's 8 of us. You're gonna see something that's gonna remind you back. But I said one thing about me, I know I stand out. I know I don't do the holidays with you and all those things. But I hope you remember how much I love you, that when I came last Thanksgiving to see you, he was like, David, say no more. You coming was so important to me because, yes, I'm doing different. That's why I say shalom when I see you. And I tell all your nieces and nephews and men, say, David is a Hebrew man. Tell you what, he's big and this and that. So when I was talking to one of my nephews and nephews in the background here in our conversation, so when it came out, throwing scriptures at him, and I was telling him, coaching, I was like, listen, Dad, what you have done is not in vain. Don't let this think that what you created with your hands is going to wither away. I said, the Most High God does things to either quicken the family or bring us together. Like this death, you don't know how, but he's created something. He was like, well, son, he's talking to you. I said, out of all my siblings, after this talk we had, I feel so much better. I'm so glad you called me. So to hear him say that to me, like I'm the second and youngest kid. I'm 39. You see what I'm saying? The other one is 37. You see, and he was like, I'm so glad you took time. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear those scriptures. I needed that strength. And I was like, hallelujah. So now, I have my father's attention. So now I can use this opportunity to not be, you said, aggressive like the brothers on the street. I gotta show, I'm praying for y'all to show me culture and action. So when I do go around, which is coming up shortly, you can ask questions based off of, do I look like my ancestors? Am I walking like my ancestors? Am I talking like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Can they go in the book and say, man, this reminds me of David? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's pressure with no pressure, but it's good pressure. Because now I got my family's attention. So now the talk of, David went crazy. And it's in the Israelite thing in terms of, David has uplifted me. And he was talking about scriptures. So my whole name went from the crazy son to now David uplifted me. Like, it's serious. And now people thinking about me. Coming to Florida, you coming to this thing with us, try to have a family reunion. So now it's like I'm on the spotlight now, but for the good reason. So I just hope I stay humble. And now I must stay rooted and must stay linked. So because I'm out there, this is gonna be something big. Like my father's, I'm 39, he's 68 going on 69, you know what I'm saying? He's up there. And more than likely it's gonna be something. No, I don't know, but I know I need y'all and what's about to happen when it comes to our family, especially with the whole chaos, how they do my brother in Jamaica. It's like some movie time out. Like they just literally said, just leave him on the side of the road and put a blanket over him and let's save other people. That's what we're dealing with right now. So we don't know what is behind this. Hoping like a drug deal, hoping like this bad cops, bad actors, but that's blood, you see what I'm saying? And now they want to see where's this Most High he keep talking about. Because the big meeting is approaching.
Yeah.
For all of us, all our kids and everything for the first time. So that's for y'all just doing how you do.
Yeah. So I just I don't know what to say. Next time we'll be going to the land is January 17th. Yeah. Kiki, you started recording. You had it?